Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Monday, June 23rd, and as you can see, almost 10 o'clock at night. I'm sorry this is getting out so late, and you'll also hear a lot of background noise. We are still driving home. Our daughters had an away swim meet that started at 6 o'clock, over 2 hours away, so we are not getting home till almost 11 o'clock at night. So I did not get the normal time that I have to put into all of this and update the spreadsheets the way I normally would. I got most of it, so but this is going to be kind of like call it a lightning round update. I wanted to get the information to you, but at the same time, we're not going to go line by line the way we usually do. So I'm just going to give you the highlight reel to see how it went. So update on the channel, we're up to 906 subscribers, getting close to 1,000. Probably should have said this sooner. This is the video for Ulti, the YieldMax Ultra Option Income Strategy ETF, and LFGY, the crypto industry and tech portfolio option income ETF. And as always, I'm on X as well at ETF_Inspector1, where I will let you know things like this right here, where I said the video is still coming but running late. I'll let you know when it's uploading, and also whenever YieldMax declares their distributions. Okay, so let's get into it. Take a look, big picture. Ulti was just down a small amount to 619. There was a good mixture of red and green throughout. We had a couple really big movers. HIMS was the biggest loser with 34.63% drop, and I believe Circle was the biggest gainer, with 9.64% increase. We've got it on the next sheet as well, but as you can see, it's kind of split, maybe 50-50, maybe a little more red than green. LFGY was down as well, not much, 10 cents. 38.65 was the closing price. Not all of these funds, not all the stocks within this fund are down here because some of them are up there. So when we get to that sheet, you'll be able to see how that went. So we go to the YieldMax website, scroll about halfway down, 3/4 of the way, and we go to our intraday trades download. We've already done it. Normally Mondays aren't that full, but since it was such an active market, we had a lot of trades, especially in Ulti. As you can see, it starts on line 109, goes all the way down to 224, so we have 115 trades there. We're not going to talk about every single one of them. Fortunately, LFGY only rolled their position in Tesla, so that'll be quick on that end. I will start with Ulti, and we'll start looking at our trades. So as you'll notice in the thumbnail, there's a line through Applied Digital. They sold all their shares. We're done trading options on Applied Digital. We also collected a whole lot of money from more people buying into the fund between Friday and today. So they put that money to work. As you can see, these are all B for buy. So sorry about the directions update. I'm the passenger, just so you know. I'm not making this video while I'm driving. But we bought pretty much the majority of the stocks. It wasn't every single one of them, but we just bought more and started trading options on them as well. And the only thing was Circle Internet Group, we sold. We didn't sell out of it, but just a portion of it, 25,000 shares to collect about $7.5 million. So when we scroll down, with every single one of these, all options were still sold for this Friday, June 27th. For the most part, it was stocks that were down big. We bought to close and sold a little closer to the money to make a profit, but there are a couple that went up beyond our call strike prices, and so they had to roll them and take the loss. So kind of get through this. Applied Digital, we're just closing out all the trades because we're done. We sold out of the shares, so we collected 250,000, closing those out. Anytime you see just two lines here, this is just selling the calls to go with the new shares that were purchased and then buying the put to protect these shares. It's the collar strategy. So we don't need to sit and worry too much about that. They just added on to where they already had options. So AppLovin, they collected 22,000, AST Space Mobile 91,000. Now Coin went against them, so they had to pay to close those 295s, and but they were having some fun here. So they closed the 295s. They took a loss there, sold 330s, but then the stock began to drop. So they bought to close those same 330s, sold them for 385, and then the same day bought to close for 141, $70,000 profit there, and then sold again at 315, collected another 363. So although this was a loss, they were able to cut the losses a little bit with some nice trading within the day. $369,000 decrease. Circle Internet Group is just absolutely killing us. The stock started at $31 and was up to like 250, 260, 270, something crazy. So lost $5 million having to close out those calls that were already sold. Closed out 210s and 260s and made them 300s now. So there's your big loss that's going to affect everything. $5.1 million loss. So I think also, but on the other side of that, we sold shares to collect $7.5 million. My guess would be to offset the loss that we incurred from the shares, from the options. First Solar, Hood, LabVIEW, Mara, MicroStrategy, NVIDIA, all just selling more options to go with the new shares that were purchased. Collected 10,000, 19,000, 7,000, 8,000, 19,000, and 5,000. Oklo was one that dropped to the point that we closed out. This is another one. They played it twice within the same day. They bought to close their 670s and sold 620s, then turned around and bought to close the 620s and sold 580s. So they collected twice, and then obviously the puts to go along with them, making a profit of $1.2 million. Palantir just selling more options to go with the new shares, $29,000 profit. Reddit closing the 155s for 24 cents, selling 141s, so bringing it back closer to the money because it dropped so much, profiting $244,000. Rigetti bought to close our 12s and sold 1150s. Surprised they're making such a big move over 6 cents, but with 12,870 contracts, each contract worth 100 shares, still came out to $193,000 profit. SMCI closed their 4750s, dropped them down to 45s, as well as selling more. That's what they've been doing on all these, selling more to go with new shares purchased, profiting $148,000. Tempest AI, they closed their 75s with the drop today and sold 70s, paying 25 cents, collecting 83 for a profit of $71,000. TNA, it's a triple leverage fund. They closed their 3250s and opened 3150s, as well as the puts to go with them, $190,000 profit. TQQQ, they just sold new ones to go with the new shares, $20,000 profit. Tesla, one of the ones to go up today, that went against them. They had to close their 330s and sell 367.50s, taking a $1.2 million loss. And then the last three, Upstart, Vertiv Holdings, and Vistra Corp, just selling new options to go with the new shares, $36,000, $3,000, and $19,000 profit. Altogether, made for a trading day loss of $4.1 million. So we're not off to a good start. Since we're right here, just a reminder, on the Sunday video, we made our guesstimate of 8.75 cents, thinking it may be closer to 9, to be honest, but I'm going to leave my guess the way it is. When we switch over to the holdings, this is where we're going to save a little bit of time. We're not going to go as deep as we normally do, just because you guys are probably waiting for this video, and this is not ideal making this on the ride home with a van full of my family. So Applied Digital's got a line through it because we sold the shares, so not worried about that. So from here, we're just going to run down the line. Instead of reading every change in market value, I'm just going to tell you it went up or down, talk a little bit about the options position in or out of the money, and at the bottom, we'll just tell the total change in market value. So AppLovin went up 3.3%, still 2.8% out of the money on the options. AST Space Mobile up 9.2%, and that they were sitting pretty, and now they're 0.4% in the money, so we're going to need them to pull back a little bit this week. Coinbase lost 0.25%, but they were well in the money, so they went and paid to close those out. That's why the orange is there. They still have 315s that are 2.4% out of the money. Circle Internet Group was the big winner of the day, up 9.6%. They had to roll those 20% in the money strikes. They still have 260s that are 1.3% in the money. First Solar lost about 0.25%. Their options are still 3.6 and 5.4% out of the money. And again, if you're new here, out of the money is where we want our options because we are selling the call, so we don't want it in the money. If you were buying a call, then you want it in the money for you to make the most money. When you sell the call, if it ends out of the money, you keep the premium basically for free. Our color coding, red would be in the money, yellow out of the money but within 5%, and green out of the money by greater than 5%. All right, Hims and Hers, big loss. I saw something about they got issues with Wegovy, the weight loss drug or something like that. So they lost, I don't know if they're not allowed to sell it anymore or what, but they lost 34%, taking their options 57 and 61% out of the money. I couldn't believe we didn't close these out, but that was a pretty big hit to our value of the fund right there. Robinhood lost 2.75%, taking their options to 4.7 and 6% out of the money. IonQ up almost 2%. That took their 40s 2.7% in the money, and then they also have two more sets of calls at 42.50 and 43.50. They're 3.3 and 5.7% out of the money. LabVIEW lost 0.32%. Their calls are 8% out of the money. Mara Holdings down almost 1%. Calls are 9.3% out of the money. MicroStrategy down 0.68%. Their calls are 2% out of the money. NVIDIA up to 0.22%, still 2.6% out of the money on their calls. Oklo lost nearly 5%, and they went ahead and rolled their calls, so we will have updated information tomorrow when the holdings report is downloadable. Palantir up 1.9%, still 1.4 and 5.7% out of the money on their calls, evenly split, 890 contracts at each. Reddit lost 3.6%, going far enough out of the money that they went ahead and closed those options and rolled them to a closer strike price. Rigetti down 2.44%. For some reason, they closed the ones that were closer to the money and left the others still to go. But they still have 1250s that are 15+% out of the money. RH down 1.39. That helped. They were real close to the money. They're now 2% out of the money. SMCI down almost 10%. They went ahead and rolled those calls to a closer strike price to collect more premium. Tempest AI down 3.9%. They rolled their 75s, but their 74s are still 12.7% out of the money. TNA up 3.57%. Not sure why they closed these out, but they're what they did was sold these puts, 5,140 of them, and then rolled 5,140 contracts out of this 6,600. That's why I put the orange over there, because this is where they made the move, but it wasn't 100%. The other 1,460 contracts are still at 3,250. TQQQ up 3.11%, still 1.74% out of the money on their calls expiring Friday. Tesla up almost 8.25%. They went ahead and rolled their closer to the money strikes, further in the money, I mean, and they still have 337.50s that are 3.2% in the money. So we're going to need them to drop by at least 3.2% throughout the week.
In 1 mile, use the right lane to exit right.
Getting close to our exit. Upstart up 1.8%. That took their calls that were already in the money even further, 5.2%. But they've got another almost evenly split that are still almost 5% out of the money. Vertiv Holdings down 1.69% to 4.69% out of the money still on those calls. And this is 2 trading days in a row where these two went the opposite direction. So I think I'm done talking about them being similar now. Vistra Corp up 0.78%. Their calls are still 1.85% out of the money. So altogether, I didn't read the individual. We can quickly see, right, that hims and hers almost $10 million loss. That was our biggest dollar loss. What do we have? A $2.7 million gain on AST Space Mobile. I think we saw a better one somewhere along the lines. Maybe not. No. So all in all, the value of the fund decreased by $6.1 million based off of the value of the underlying stocks within it. Okay. There was 90,100,000 shares as of close on Friday. We won't get the newest update until market opens tomorrow. Well, until the download becomes available tomorrow. We'll switch over to LFGY. This one will be quicker to go through. Like we said, they only had trades on Tesla, so made it a nice easy day for me. They closed out their 335s for $22.89 and sold 367.50. So stayed within the same trading time, closing this Friday. So paid $22, collected $5. So overall lost $190,000. So that's your total trading wise for the day, a negative $190,000. Again, while we're here, our estimate from Sunday, we said my guess is 46. Could be as low as 42. If you want more information on how I got to that, go back and watch the week look ahead video that has the payment distribution guesstimate. All right, we said LFGY dropped to 38.65. As we go through, we can quickly see biggest winner was Tesla, 8.23% increase. You saw, I forgot to color code that, but we saw that they closed these out and rolled them because they went into the money. And then the biggest loser was Hut 8 Corp, down 4.85%. All right, BitDeer dropped 3.2%. Their calls are now 14.5% out of the money. Clean Spark down 1.67. Calls are 7% out of the money. Coinbase down 0.25%, 5.66% out of the money on their calls. Core Scientific calls are 10% out of the money after today's 4.3% drop. Galaxy Digital down over 2% today. Calls are 5.5% and almost 11% out of the money. GameStop down 2.73%, taking their calls to 7.3% out of the money. Robinhood down 2.75%, taking their calls about 3.5%. So they were pretty close. They were only 0.75-ish% out of the money before the day started. Hut 8 Corp dropped over 4.8%, taking them to 13.2% out of the money. IBIT stayed unchanged, 58.67, so no change in value. Mara Holdings down almost 1%, Their calls are now 5.78% out of the money. MBTX, they don't own any shares, so it is just the options. They've got a credit call spread that they call is 6.4% out of the money, and then they have a debit put spread, so they are betting that the stock will drop below 230 before December 31st. Those are currently 5.8% out of the money. I don't think I like the way I have that color coded, right? Because we want them to be in the money for this value to go up. So this one's kind of backwards. Mercado Libre up over 2%, taking these just in the money. So we're just going to need a small pullback, about $2 on a $2,400 stock. So less than, roughly 0.1%. MicroStrategy down 0.68%. Their calls are 4.85% out of the money. Let me just take one quick second to point out a difference where Ulti trades a collar strategy where they own the shares, sell a call, buy a put to protect the shares. LFGY does not. They own the shares, they sell calls. Sometimes that's all they do. So if the call goes way out of the money or way in the money, the more it goes, the more they lose. Other times they do a call spread where they protect themselves, as in this case, right? If you sell a $12.50, you buy a $14, $1.50 per share is the most you can possibly lose. So that's the trading strategy that they do on these funds. We were at MicroStrategy where I left off. So NU Holdings up 1.65%. They were already in the money, then now they're a little bit further, 2.7% in the money. NVIDIA up 0.22%, still 1.27% out of the money. Opera down 2.5%, taking them 13.7% out of the money on those calls. PayPal up 2.8%, still 1.37% out of the money. Riot down over 3%, taking their calls to 7.8 and 13.2% out of the money. Tesla, the big winner, up 8%. They had to roll these calls they kind of just cut their losses there and tried to make a little more profit afterwards. And then Block, hardly up any, right? Up 3 cents total, still 3.74% out of the money. All the fluctuations up and down for the changes resulted in a $968,000 decrease in value of the fund. All right, I think that is everything for your update. Let me know if you like that a little better, where I don't sit and read every single change in market value just to kind of get through a little faster. I've been thinking about trying to speed it up by doing something along those lines. So I'd like to see a little extra feedback in this one just to see if people like this more to get through it quicker, then maybe that'll be a change I make for good. So with that being said, the only thing left is the dad joke of the day. I got to read it off my calendar here in the dark driving home. So before I do, I just want to say thank you. If you stuck around to the end, listen to the whole thing, I appreciate it. Got the somewhat faithful following, and I do appreciate it. So please hit the like button if you liked it. Please leave feedback, especially if you like this change or if you didn't like it. I want to know. And please share and subscribe if you're not already. So, dad joke of the day. What sounds like a sneeze and is made of leather? A shoe. I was going to say my wife's trying not to laugh over there. All right, have a good night, and I apologize for how late this is getting out. I also don't know how long it's going to take to upload on the road. So either way, good luck trading tomorrow, and I'll catch you in the Tuesday video. Good night.